The Italian Wine Podcast is introducing a new donation drive this month. It's called Why Am I a Fan? We are encouraging anyone who tunes in on a regular basis to send us your 10-second video on why you are a fan of our podcast network or a specific show. We will then share your thoughts with the world with the goal of garnering support for our donation drive. Italian Wine Podcast is a publicly funded, sponsor-driven enterprise that needs you in order to continue to receive awesome free wine edutainment 7 days a week. We are asking our listeners to donate to the Italian Wine Podcast by clicking either the GoFundMe link or the Patreon link found on ItalianWinePodcast.com. Remember, if you sign up as a monthly donor on our Patreon, we will send you a free IWP t-shirt and a copy of the Wine Democracy book, the newest Mama Jumbo Shrimp publication. Welcome to this special Italian Wine Podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in. This is Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner. And my name is Joy Livingston, and I'm standing in for Stevie Kim, who is out in the big wild world traveling, doing wine things. So I hope you guys are okay with me. Hi there, Sheila.
Hey there.
So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction tonight. So Sheila Donohue is going to be interviewing Antonella Manuli, and I'm sure I didn't pronounce that correctly. Hi, Antonella.
Hello, you pronounce perfectly.
Oh, you're very, very kind. So let's see here. Sheila, you are a New Yorker and that you've been living in Italy for 20 years. Where are you in Italy?
In Bologna?
Okay. So in the north then, not too far from us. You are the founder of VeroVino and CEO and Sommelier as well. After you became a sommelier, you got to know hundreds of different smaller producers. Do you have anything you want to add to that? Is there something I'm missing?
I just like to make a connection to the Vinitaly International Ambassador community that I started. I got involved in the community in 2017 when I had a year of sabbatical and I was considering to start my business. And I just, I really enjoyed the course. I learned, learning about, I thought I knew everything about Italian wine after having lived in Italy for almost 20 years and became a sommelier there. But I found out, rude awakening when I didn't pass the first course that I didn't know enough. I didn't know, enough, let's say. I mean, it's a constant learning, of Italian wines especially, but I just wanted to give a shout out to the community of ambassadors that I like it.
Awesome. So I guess my next this brings me then to why you selected Antonella Manuli as your favorite producer.
So I identify with Antonella, being a woman in wine and a woman in business. And I must say that she strikes a chord with me, and probably because I aspire to be an innovator and mover and shaker in wine like she is.
Awesome. Okay. And how did you first learn of her wines or taste her wines or even meet her? Perhaps I'm not sure if you've met before in person.
Yeah, well, we met in 2018 at a networking event in Milan, and it happened to be a panel of women winery owners, And so Miss Antonori and Miss Frescobaldi were on the panel, and so was Antonella. And I really liked her story, and that is what brought me to get to know her.
Awesome. And a last question. And what kind of learning objectives did you want to bring to the conversation? Did you want the audience to take away from the conversation today?
Yeah, I mean, the conversation today, I'd say, will be beyond the wine. A lot about farming, about wineries' involvement in the community, and also to find out how a winery can, let's say, turn back to the old and more pure traditions, but in a smart way. So that way, these traditions are carried forward to both preserve the future, but also in a way that makes business sense.
Okay. Well, that actually sounds really interesting. I'm really interested to hear about the farming aspect, actually. So I guess without further ado, I will come back at the end and wrap things up, and perhaps we might have a question from the audience. And yeah, go ahead, guys.
Okay. So Antonella, I'm really happy to be talking with you today. And I'd like it, instead of me giving you an overview of your life, I prefer if you tell us your story and your journey in particular that led you to start Fattoria La Maliosa.
Hello, Sheila. I enjoy. Thank you for having me. I have a little bit of a sore throat, so I will clear my voice once in a while, and excuse me for that. So, Sheila, yes. Well, I haven't had a life where I was born and grown up in the same place. I was around quite a lot. I lived in Switzerland in the mountains until I was about 14. Then I was back in Italy, but living in the country for 3 years. And then I went to college in the United States, playing golf on a golf scholarship in California. And then actually, I came back to Italy when I was 23, but really I came back probably not really as a person with an Italian heritage. So I've always felt like I was like an Italian speaking non-Italian with maybe different ideas on a lot of things. And So I started working. I graduated in business administration, so I started working in like a typical career path, like um, finance, bank, etc., etc. And around uh, 27, 28 years old, I had an opportunity to work in the Maremma, Tuscany. It's the south of Tuscany, in a resort. It was called Terme di Saturnia. It was, and so it's a place that I had never been to actually in my life, and it was quite shocking at first because I got there. It was I think 1990, and the place was actually quite wild. I mean, is not really like it is today. It's still wild, but not so. I would say unknown as far as also tourism was not so developed. It was not known outside of Italy. It was only you know, I think probably the only tourists there were people from Rome, which is really close, so they knew the place. Otherwise, even for Italians of other regions, it was still quite unknown. So that's really the story of how I got to Maremma. Sorry. And so I worked there for a few years, and I was really right from the beginning really impressed by the natural side, of the place. um, the environment was very, very unspoiled. It was very sparsely populated. They say that Maremma has the same population density as Siberia, meaning not a lot of people around. So nature is really owns you. You have this feeling a lot of times in Maremma where it's kind of like Africa, where it's one of those rare places on Earth, I think, where humans are still have a feeling, whereas they're not in control of the world. Okay, so it's the natural world is controlling you. So this is very peculiar. And apart from, of course, beautiful landscape and really, I mean, it's a place that you see and you cannot forget. So I really grew to um, know, I visited a lot of places. And also one of the things that struck me was there seemed to be no awareness in the local population of this very unique aspect about the unspoiled environment. And there were absolutely no agriculture projects that were based on healthy production or sustainable production. So now we are speaking probably around the beginning of the 2000, 2003, where I stopped working at the Terme di Saturnia. And by that time, I already had a child and I was working on my second child. So I thought also to take a couple of years to think about what I wanted to do with my life. Also, with two children, small children at home. And that's where I started thinking that maybe I could do something that was based on sustainability and producing healthy products, and also to kind of give some tangible value to all this beauty that was there. So that's it.
Thanks, Antonella. And what about wine? How did your interest in wine come about?
Okay, wine was a consequence because really I didn't really start out with the idea I'm going to make wine. I started out with the idea of let's produce something that is in tune with this type of environment. Okay, that is all not just the environment but also the history of the place. And so, of course, so the two consequences of this reasoning were I'm going to produce wine and olive oil. Okay. Because these are the two historical cultivations, especially olive oils in that area, even more than wine. But okay, we at this point, Sheila, I didn't have a company though. Okay, I didn't have anything, so I really needed to find some plots of land that were suitable to this type of project, which actually took me a few years because um, it wasn't easy, and because I wanted some characteristics that not just for producing, but also I needed to have like a nice landscape and a combination of historical cultivations on the land, meaning like an old vineyard, which is not very easy to find there, and olives, that's easier. So this came to a conclusion around 2008 and 2009. That's where actually we started moving our first steps.
Okay. And so you describe Liosa as an agricultural startup. And can you just tell us
Yes,
why you describe it that way?
yes, we're used to thinking about startups as being like fintech, okay, um, or you know, very very fast things that just really start out on ideas and grow very quickly. But you can apply the same concepts in agriculture. You can be innovative. You can do something different. However, what's really different from other startups is time. So I was really starting from scratch. So time, of course, was a lot longer period than in usual startups that we're used to thinking about. But all the characteristics of the startup, I think, are there, including doing something new, or something old in a different way, and with starting from scratch on an idea. So I think this is really uh, a lot of ingredients.
Okay, so maybe as we're talking, you can give us some more examples of um, of, let's say, the innovation that you've been doing. But first, tell us what it was like the first year that you were a wine grower and making wine, considering that you were new to the industry and that you're also a woman.
Okay, yes, Sheila. Sorry. The problem was that I was new. Not only I was new, but everybody else seemed to be new, like even in the wine industry. They just did not know what I was talking about. Nobody was used in any way of working in a more sustainable way. Okay, let's keep in mind we are speaking about a few years ago, where now everything is sustainable and everybody's an expert. Everybody wants to do it. Back then, nobody had a clue, all right, which is something I realized very quickly, that I was speaking some different unknown language that didn't find anybody that was able to consider it, and also have a know-how that could be applied. So it was really new in every sense. So this was a major issue, because all the consultants that I could find, not just in the area, but really anywhere, they just had their ideas, which was the conventional way that was done, and they really didn't know how to do anything else. And the fact of being a woman, well, being a woman, I think is an issue in Italy at any stage, not just in the startup stage. I think it's an issue. To my surprise, I have to say, more in the world of wine, because I came from the banking and financial, and actually there it was not so much of an issue. I mean, coming to the world of wine, it's like, as people, they they're kind of surprised. The typical question that I'm always asked, even today, is, so you got this from your father, you got this from your family is involved. You have an uncle, you have a brother, you have a cousin. I mean, in the mind of people, if you're working in the world of wine, you must have some kind of a family uh, heritage, basically male. Otherwise, I don't know. Um, So this really quite surprised me a little bit because I was not expecting that. But also, I have to say, I think being a woman gave me more freedom, and doing from scratch and being a woman also gave me more freedom to think outside of the box and not feel like I was tied to any previous ideas, somebody else's ideas, and also to experiment, maybe also make some mistakes. Um, without feeling, I was breaking any unwritten rules or ways or old ways. So, what was the beginning of your question, Sheila?
I
I think I
yeah,
got
no,
a bit.
yeah, no, I think you answered it. Certainly, you gave us a really good picture of what it was like, not only first year as a wine grower, but also to up to today in terms of being a woman in the industry. Um, so let's talk a bit about Lorenzo Carino. And for those of you that are listening, he was a viticultural researcher who sadly passed away a year ago. And Antonella, if you can tell us how you came to know Lorenzo and what role did he play in your startup?
Are you enjoying this podcast? There is so much more high-quality wine content available from Mama Jumbo Shrimp. Check out our new wine study maps or books on Italian wine, including Italian Wine Unplugged, and much, much more. Just visit our website, mamajumboshrimp.com. Now, back to the show.
Okay, yes, Sheila, like I was saying before, I had this big issue of finding some, let's say, technical help that knew, that could really put my project in practice, uh, that had experience in sustainable viticulture. I realized this very soon, and I started out, with a very wide search of where this, person could be. And by a series of lucky meetings, I came in contact with Lorenzo, and I explained the project to him, and he came down to Maremma. This was December 2012, and he was very, very struck right away, but by the natural quality of the place. It was really, really impressed. And Lorenzo had been working, like you said, with national research. He was the head of the Enological Institute in Asti. He was a very, very well-known person in the viticultural research. Published a lot of papers, and he was retiring. I was also very lucky because he was retiring in December 2012, and so was free to take up any other, whatever. Yeah, so he came down to Maliosa. I visited, and for me, it was speaking with him the first couple of times we met. It was like, when you have like a light bulb lighting in your head, and it was, for me, it was like a aha moment. It was like, oh my god, like this person. Not this is also what I said to him. I said, not only you understand what I would like to do, but you can take this a step forward, and we can go even further, a lot further than my original thinking. I knew he had quite a few proposals for private wineries when he retired, including some very, very big names. Um, but Lorenzo was a very pure person, and I'm sure he chose, of course, La Magliosa, which was quite a risky choice. and not for money or because he could have earned, of course, a lot more with some big names, but also because he understood, he had the freedom. I gave him a lot of freedom to do something uh, completely faithful to his ideas and from scratch. This is very important because not everybody has the opportunity to plant vineyards. And we basically had to do everything from most of the vineyards I planted with him. And so he realized in Magliosa he could continue doing some research, but on his own terms, which is not something he could always do when he was working for the public sector. I would say this is the beginning.
And so what did you accomplish together with Lorenzo?
Well, Lorenzo is an expert on soil. So we started from there. We, you know, mm, one one peculiar aspect, because we were going to plant vineyards for already with the idea of producing natural wine and very, very low intervention in the management of the vineyards. So by planting with this idea in mind, we could already do something that would help us in the long run to achieve these goals. Of course, starting from the soil, we had a project going with the CREA of Firenze. The CREA is the National Institute that is studying life well, it's a national research institute in agriculture. They do a lot of things, but with them we started this project um, that was basically to look at life in the soil before and after planting the vineyard. Of course, I'm not going into technical stuff, but basically this is important because the way we plant did not disrupt life in the soil. Okay, this is very important because usually when you plant a vineyard, in order to achieve the same quantity of uh, life, this is a measure that is called soil biological quality, SBQ. It's an official name for this measure. Usually you take it, it's very disrupted. The SBQ is very disrupted by the planting of a vineyard. In our case, it wasn't. And this all goes to the health of the vines. Uh, of course, we're not producing for high yields, so we kind of allow for the natural, physiology of the vines to express itself. And this started with soil. Also for example, by planting vineyards now help me with the English word, which I don't remember, the alberello training system. How is the alberello, Sheila?
Shoot, Alberello. Someone.
I'm not sure.
Head trained.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also so the way of the pruning, very important. The variety we chose, and of course the management, and it's a process. Okay, it's a process. It's not one single thing, but it's a combination of a lot of things that basically is completely preserving the environment within the vineyard the same way as it would be without it. So this is not something obvious that I'm telling you, because it's usually the environment within the vineyard is completely different as an environment outside of the vineyard, right? He had a saying. He actually also wrote an article that was the title was "Bring something like bringing the forest into the vineyard," which doesn't mean we're going to plant trees in a vineyard, of course. It's just to preserve biodiversity and complexity, not of the life below the soil, but also above. For example, by not disrupting the herbs, the wild herbs that grow spontaneously.
And then from all of this work that you did with Lorenzo, the byproduct was the Metodo Corino, correct?
Yes, so we started 2013. We realized by 2016, 2017 that we actually had, we had defined a very clear process for all the things that we were doing. And so we decided to give it a name. So since we are in the world of wine, we thought Metodo was a good way to call it, and we gave it the name of Lorenzo, his last name, because it originated, from all of his ideas that were put in practice in Maliosa. So it was also like, I think it was nice for him to have his name on it. And also, I think we needed some way to give transparency to the market about what we were actually doing, because you know very well that natural wine is not something, is a name that is used within the trade and the industry. However, it doesn't have a legal definition. So it's very common that we go to a natural wine event or fair, and you find 10 producers with 8 different ideas on how to make wine. This can be very confusing, and also very, very sometimes quite hard to explain to people what you're doing. So we thought that giving transparency to our actions and to this process would also help our customer to really understand us and communicate to them without the need to necessarily say we were making natural wine and get into all this confusing market mess about that is behind natural wine.
And what have you seen in terms of the actual benefits applying the Metodo Corino in terms of the wine, the quality of the wine, in terms of the fruit and the vineyards?
Yes, okay. The combination of all these processes that make up the Metodo Corino have the main aim of producing grapes with thick skin. Of course, healthy grapes with thick skin. So this is important because since we are not adding anything in the cellar, we're not using any technology, we're not using. We're using the indigenous yeast, not adding any chemicals or of any kind. It's important to have a thick skin, and we're also making skin contact whites. So this is helping to produce better quality for this type of wines. So this is one main point, I would say. The healthy grapes, the healthy vines that don't need so much. So we're keeping the environment of the vineyard pure, okay, and also and also the thick skin, I would say.
Okay, so speaking of grapes, you grow and make wine from Procanico, Nebbiano, Sangiovese, Ciliegiolo, and Cananao Gris. So, of those grapes, which one is your favorite from a wine grower's perspective and also a winemaker's perspective?
Well, I can only say that okay, Procanico is my favorite. I would say it's area related because one very important point is that we are using local varieties that are very adapted to the place, climate, and soil. So it's not an absolute concept, because I could take my Procanico and plant it, I don't know, maybe in a very rainy place, and it wouldn't give us a nice result. But definitely Procanico is my favorite grape, because it's a rare grape, very, very ancient. It's dating back to the Roman times. It was already mentioned by Plinius, the Roman agronomist. And it's really a condensation of uh, everything that Maremma is, including history and it's quite original. It's not a taste that you are used to. It's not a modern wine, I would say, but it's a very, very authentic witness to the place.
And
Maybe I didn't mention it's a white grape.
yeah, I know it was a grape I learned in 2017 in San Francisco at the Mid-Italy Ambassadors class. um, yeah, so tell us a bit about how the local community where you are in Maremma, how they have benefited from La Maliosa, and how they're involved in your farm.
In the beginning, actually, everybody was quite suspicious. I know there was a lot of talking behind my back. Probably, they were thinking, what is this woman from outside doing? Completely crazy. But then they changed their mind a lot, I think, because they saw how what I was doing there, that they couldn't understand at first, was actually got a lot of recognition outside of Maremma. And I gave value to an area that really had been a little bit forgotten. Maremma is the forgotten Tuscany, and so they realized, I think, at one point, that actually this was good for for the area. Besides the fact that the company has grown and that I've been hiring, you know. More locals, which was good for the small local economy. But also, I think actually it was interesting, because I gave this area an idea that they could do something. I mean, they were worth something. Um, Maremma is really has a little bit of a complex. They feel like they may be inferior, not as well considered as the rest of Tuscany. But I think now mine is not probably the only project that I started working in a more sustainable way. But I really think I was a pioneer for the terroir, and they really gave them an idea that they could do something as well.
Okay, and then can you tell us how your farm and your wine being impacted by climate change, and is there anything specific that you're doing to combat the risks of climate change?
Yes, yes. Climate change is a very, very big problem. Is impacted actually a lot. Of course, not just me, but everybody in the area. Maremma is a place where the weather is historically has been extreme. So you have like an extreme heat, extreme rain, extreme drought. So everything is very, very extreme. Okay. Um, what we found in the past 5 years, we've had 4 years of drought. So it seems that the new normal is drought. And this is a very, very big complication, because it's not always possible to water. And there's not a lot of water in the area besides that. And I think a lot of, come si dice, pozzi,
like
where you
ponds,
get,
like ponds.
okay, everything is drying up. The rivers have been drying up, but this is not, okay, this year the drought was everywhere in Italy. The problem with Maremma, it's been 4 out of 5 years. And the temperatures, so every year, it's not just the annual drought, is that it's depleting all the water beneath the soil, in the groundwater. So the vineyards have never had such a big problem with summer droughts or high temperature because that's normal. The problem is we are having winters without rain, and this is really what's really damaging a lot, uh, all kinds of agriculture actually in the area. And to tell you, I don't have the magic solution. What we are doing, I think it was already mitigating a lot the problem of the drought. However, it's not possible to survive without water, so we are looking for underground water within the property, and to find some system to be able to irrigate in this kind of emergency situation.
Okay. All right. So turn it back to Joy now. If you'd like to have others ask questions.
Hi there. Yeah, that was great. And in fact, we do have a question from Paul Bologna. And he says, I had the pleasure of meeting Antonella at Vinitaly a few years ago and subsequently purchased her wine. My question for you has to do with the future of blockchain. Given your passion for innovation, what do you see for the future of blockchain?
Okay, thank you for your question, because actually we have a blockchain on our labels. I think blockchain is a very interesting concept for producers that are working like us in a very sustainable way, because it's a help given by technology to demonstrate what we're doing. Because the danger of everybody speaking about sustainability today, of course, is greenwashing. Everybody is claiming they're doing a lot of things, but you never know where the truth is. I think we're speaking too much and doing too little. So this is kind of damaging for producers like us who are very, very serious about the matter. And it can be confusing for the customer to be able to distinguish, who is working properly, who's doing greenwashing. So I think blockchain can be implemented in the future. We've had a blockchain on our labels because we had a project with very, very big sponsors, so we didn't have to pay for it. However, I hope in the future it will become more affordable, and so we will be able to do it without sponsor, and maybe also other producers. It will be a tool that we will be able to use to show the consumer how we're working.
Awesome. Okay, great. And I'm just going to put it out there. If anybody has any questions for Antonella, feel free to raise your hand. And if not, if you're too shy, you can always email me the question. I'll forward it to info@italianwinepodcast.com. So I don't see anybody raising their hand. In that case, I'm going to close the room soon. Antonella, Sheila, but I want to ask you, Laika, what do we have next for Clubhouse?
Okay, so next week we're gonna have 3 clubhouses. It's because we're trying to record as many as possible for the Christmas break. Anyway, so on the next week there are no clubhouses, but next week there's gonna be November 21. John Camacho Vidal will be interviewing Oscar Arriba Bene, from Domenico Clerico. On the 22nd, there's Shawan Du, and she will be interviewing Avignonessa's CEO and head winemaker Matteo Giustiniani. Then on the 24th, Arlene Oriveros will be interviewing Francesca Vaira. So that's it. All right. So yeah, if you have any questions, guys, you just send an email to info@italianwinepodcast.com. So that's it, Joy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you, Sheila and Antonella. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time
you.
and for the great interview. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you,
welcome.
Sheila, for having me, and thank you, Joy.
You're welcome.
Buona
Thank you.
serata.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, grazie.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.